Hello there, it's Thursday. Welcome to Granada Reports.
Hello, on the programme this evening.
Calls from the Hillsborough families force Sir Norman Bettison to be stripped of his knighthood after a damning report about him by the police watchdog.
He used to say that he always wanted to join the army, and I think the college was delighted when he left here and actually realised his ambition.
Tributes to Lance Corporal Jamie Webb, the second serviceman from our region to be killed in the war in Afghanistan this year.
Fed by a food bank, what happens when the benefits people receive don't even cover the basics like food?
And how the power of social media is giving families new hope in their search for loved ones who've gone missing.
Yeah, lots to come. Please stay with us. First tonight, families of those who died at Hillsborough have called for the former Chief Constable of Merseyside, Sir Norman Bettison, to be stripped of his knighthood after a highly critical report into his conduct. Now, Sir Norman resigned as the Chief Constable of the West Yorkshire Force last October.
But the police watchdog, the IPCC, say if he'd still been in his job, he could have faced charges of gross misconduct and possible dismissal. Sir Norman referred himself to the watchdog after being named in the report by the Hillsborough Independent Panel. Our correspondent Anne O'Connor reports.
Norman Bettison has always denied being part of the South Yorkshire squad that sullied supporters who died at Hillsborough.
Did you smear them? Were you part of that Black Ops unit?
No, not at all. There wasn't a Black Ops unit. I wasn't a part of it. I was part of a team that was trying to put together the facts in a concentrated time period.
But last September's Hillsborough Independent Panel report said he was part of the cover-up, and the Chief Constable of West Yorkshire faced being referred to the police watchdog by his own police authority.
I'm eager to help them get started on the investigation.
And that eagerness, says the Independent Police Complaints Commission, was an attempt to portray himself in a positive light, while his police authority was still deciding what to do. It was behaviour that would have amounted to gross misconduct, it says, had he not stepped down last October on a full police pension.
I'm very aware of the public concerns around police officers retiring or resigning to avoid a misconduct sanction. Public interest was such that we should investigate this, regardless of his status as a police officer. And what we hope to achieve by that is to put the evidence into the public domain so that people can judge this for themselves.
The only difficulty I have is that he's not going to get punished for it.
Margaret Aspinall's son James was one of the 96 killed.
What do you think should have happened to him?
Well, I think for a start he should have been brought before a board, he should have been sacked, he should have had his pension stopped. And I think now is the time to strip him of his knighthood and also his doctorate from John Moores University.
He and dozens of other police officers are still the subject of Britain's biggest investigation of misconduct following Hillsborough. Sir Norman Bettison may no longer have a uniform or a chauffeur-driven car, but he retains his honours and his rewards. His reputation is reduced.
Well, Anne joins us now. Anne, this isn't the only report into Norman Bettison's conduct surrounding Hillsborough, is it?
No, this is a significant but minor investigation. As I said in my report, the biggest investigation into police misconduct in British history by the IPCC is ongoing. He's one of the officers being investigated. That will look at the allegations that 164 statements taken from police on duty that day were changed in the aftermath of the disaster. It will also look at accusations that pretty much as the bodies were being taken out of the stadium, there was a concerted, coordinated campaign to smear those fans as drunken hooligans and portray the police officers as heroes who were trying to control them.
So any idea when that report's going to be published?
No, the IPCC, when it was talking about Sir Norman Bettison today, said that that report is ongoing, that it will take a long time. The families, of course, are comforted by that because it means that it's a thorough investigation. Next month, of course, is the 24th anniversary of the Hillsborough disaster. I spoke to Margaret Aspinall earlier and she said that they've waited this long, they can wait a whole lot longer.
And thank you. Well, next tonight, tributes have been paid to a young soldier who's died after being wounded in Afghanistan. Lance Corporal Jamie Webb was fatally injured in an attack by insurgents in Helmand Province earlier this week.
Now, Jamie, who was from Wythenshawe in Manchester, served with the 1st Battalion, the Mercian Regiment. His parents have said how proud they are of their son. Greg Easteel has this report.
He is the 441st British casualty of the war in Afghanistan, the 3rd this year. But his family, friends and the tight-knit regiment in which he served, Lance Corporal Jamie Webb, it seems, will be remembered for so much more than that. Since joining the army in 2006 at 18, he'd already served in Iraq, Northern Ireland and was on his 2nd tour in Afghanistan. A remarkable achievement for someone who only left college here just 6 short years ago. The principal there told me they remember a young man as warm and friendly as he was eager to serve.
He was a lovely character, very, very caring, very thoughtful, very generous, always looked after his friends. He used to say that he always wanted to join the army, and I think the college was delighted when he left here and actually realised his ambition and joined the army. It's just so very, very sad that it's ended like this.
Colonel Bob Stewart, the former United Nations commander in Bosnia who served in the same regiment, says the men and women Jamie Webb worked with will be feeling his loss hard tonight.
The Mercians, or the Cheshire Regiment as they were, are a family regiment. I mean, let's face it, I probably knew his uncle who was in the Cheshires. There were enough Webbs in the Cheshires to man a platoon at various times. And so the family regiment will be very sad.
One young private in Afghanistan spoke of a soldier who could listen and cheer people up in the toughest of circumstances. We may move on in time, but we will never forget you, Webby. Close to the college where Lance Corporal Webb studied stands this war memorial. He probably passed here many times. Tonight his name joins those this corner of the Northwest remembers as people as well as soldiers. Greg Easteel, ITV News.
More news now. Police investigating the death of a 14-year-old killed after an apparent dog attack in Wigan say no decisions have been made about whether any prosecutions will be brought. Jade Anderson, who was found dead at a house in Atherton on Tuesday afternoon. Last night, her parents were among hundreds at a special vigil held at Jade's school.
A man who murdered his parents for his inheritance has been jailed for at least 40 years. Bob and Patricia Seddon were shot dead at point-blank range at their home in Sale last summer. Their son Stephen denied murder and a failed attempt on their lives only months earlier. His crimes were described in court as heinous and unnatural.
He is just an evil, wicked man who did it all for greed, and the only thing that I can hope for the family is that after today's verdict and sentencing that there is some sense of justice for them.
Health bosses in Lancashire are asking visitors to stay away from 2 hospitals after a suspected outbreak of the norovirus. All visitors to the Royal Lancaster Infirmary and Furness General Hospital are asked to stay away if they've had any symptoms of the virus in the last 3 days, unless they need emergency treatment. The Morecambe Bay Trust is advising those who do visit to wash their hands before entering wards. Well, next, the harsh economic times have had a devastating effect on family life for many households right across our region, with many left to cope on benefits which they say aren't enough to pay for the basics of life.
In the latest in his series, our political reporter Daniel Hewitt finds how many people have had to turn to food banks and payday loans to keep their heads above water.
Sherelle Bayliss always worked to provide for her family, but since losing her job, she's found that an impossible task.
Have you had to come far?
Now this food bank in Stockport is their provider.
You don't feel as though you're doing the role that you should be doing for your children. You know, someone else is feeding your children. You've got this massive gut feeling, and it's like almost a sicky feeling of knowing where you're going, what you're going for, and you know you haven't got an option. My income is not even half as much as I have going out, but there's not really much I can do.
And the state agrees. Sherelle is one of a growing number of people whose out-of-work benefits aren't enough to buy food. So far this year, Trussell Trust food banks have fed more than 38,000 people here in the northwest. Well over half of those people were benefit claimants. And with wholesale welfare reform just a week away, there's a further warning, not just about hunger, but about debt.
People are in desperate situations, take desperate measures. These are people that are maybe already on benefits, finding problems, making ends meet. So they'll go to a payday loan company, get a loan maybe for £100, and then it's when they can't make the payments, it snowballs.
So how many loans did you take out?
1, 2, 3.
And that number rose to 19. Peter, which is not his real name, turned to payday loans when his hours were cut at work.
I took out £100 at late November, and by March, early March, I owed 2,000. When it was time to pay one, I was taking another out to pay that then I had to pay later, which meant I was taking another out to pay that, and it did get completely out of hand.
So out of hand that Peter was declared bankrupt. Borrowing his way out of trouble had failed. But he knows that others will try.
If you've got children and the money's running out and you've no gas or you've no food or whatever, and somebody's going to say, here's £100.
The warning from organisations like the Citizens Advice Bureau is to avoid that temptation. But as the government prepares to cut the benefits bill, many are seeing the welfare state as a safety net that some are slipping through. Daniel Hewitt, ITV News.
And later the Tonight programme will investigate the biggest ever survey into poverty in the UK. That's called Breadline Britton. It's on at 7:30 here on ITV.
Still to come.
Getting in a ring and smashing away at someone's face, that's a pleasure, it's not a pressure.
That's what you call fighting talk. Insights into a boxer's life coming up in the sport.
And we're at the opening of the Legends show at the Sands in Blackpool. It's a little bit funny when no one else can understand me. Well, we'll see if we can find one or two legends for later.
I was worried Croney was going to sing then. And of course we'll also have all the very latest on the bank holiday weather for you. Next though, finding a person who'd gone missing was once solely down to the authorities, but now social media has given families the power to share photos of their loved ones with hundreds, thousands, even millions of other people.
Now all this week our correspondent Rob Smith has been trying to help families find missing relatives. Kevin Fasting, for example, from Liverpool, was last heard of 10 years ago. His daughter has set up a Facebook page and a Twitter hashtag in the hope of getting him home for his birthday this Sunday.
The last happy family moment was in the last century. Kevin Fasting posed for the cameras at his sister's wedding. In no time at all, he'd be gone.
At that point I did fully believe. I thought, you know what, I'll see him tomorrow, he'll be okay, and then we'll get past this.
Each day, no word,
yeah,
each day, more worry.
Exactly.
The dad of 3 from Liverpool will be 59 on Sunday, the latest in a long line of birthdays his family can't celebrate. But daughter Becky hopes social media could now bring him home.
When my dad first went missing, it was 9 years ago. And it was literally, we'd walk around the streets with posters, you know, putting them up, which is tedious and we don't really know how much good it does. You can't cover much ground. Whereas when I set up a Facebook page with his picture and a bit of information to say he was missing and when that happened, we had instant responses of people joining saying, I'll keep a lookout. I'm going to send this page to all of my friends on Facebook so that they see his face.
How amazing a thought is it that someone could be on a bus, looking at their phone, see a picture of your dad and look up and think, that's the guy in the seat next to me.
It is amazing because you've got smartphones, especially younger people, you know, they live or die by Facebook and Twitter. We did have a couple of leads from it of people saying they may have seen him, somebody who looks a bit like him. Unfortunately nothing came of that, but it was just lovely to know that we can still, you know, appeal to people to look out for him.
And who knows who might see him and who knows where.
Of course, he could be anywhere, he really could. I think I could walk past him in a rush and not even know. You know, I was a child when he left, and you know, would we not recognise each other? That's a really scary thought, that I might not recognise my own dad.
The bride, who lost part of her smile when her brother disappeared, says official search channels can only do so much. Seeing Kevin's name shared online brings hope he'll see it too, and grant a simple request.
The reality hits home, you know, when you see something like that, because it just becomes part of your everyday life, really. You just learn to live with it and you just go on doing things when you can. But when you sort of see it in black and white, it does really hit home. You look at it and you think, that's my brother, and, you know, and he's not here, and he hasn't been here for 10 years. Come back and share your birthday with us. You know, there's been 10 birthdays since you've gone, and obviously to have him back would just be absolutely amazing.
To be there to blow out the candles.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is it good? Do you like it? Yeah. My daughter is coming up to 7 months now, and obviously he wasn't there for the time she was born and is missing all of these things that she's doing now, you know, first words and everything, and I just wish he was here to share it.
Well, if you know where Kevin is or think you may have seen him, there is a confidential missing people helpline. It's 116 000, 116 000. That number can also get a message home from any missing person to the family who are searching for them.
Well, joining us now is John Barnes, who's the head of the Missing Persons Unit at Greater Manchester Police. Now, we've heard the stories from 4 different families this week, but the numbers who go missing in Greater Manchester alone is staggering.
Yes, indeed. Last year we received over 24,000 reports of missing individuals. 8 of those have failed to return, but the rest came back, and we got a resolution on those. As at 3 o'clock this afternoon, we had 60 current missings and 144 long-term missings. That's people missing over 6 months, going back to the early 1960s.
So when someone is long-term missing, how hard is it to give hope to their family?
Oh, it's very difficult, but we have to maintain that hope. You never know when something's going to break. A colleague of mine very recently reunited a family after 44 years when the member of the family who was missing had married 3 times and was living in Dubai.
What was that like?
It was great. It was absolutely fantastic for that family to be reunited after such a long time. So there is always hope.
But John, isn't it a case sometimes that people, they just don't want to be found?
Absolutely.
They've gone away for, they feel, a very good reason.
Indeed, and we respect that. Every time a report is made of an adult who's gone away for whatever good reason, we're only interested in making sure that they're safe and they're well. We're after looking after their interests. If they want to maintain that privacy, we must respect that. We'd like to be able to tell the family that we've found them and that they are safe, but we will respect that privacy.
Now, the Fasting family talked about social media, which I know a lot of people are using, but you have concerns that there's a risk with that.
I would advise anybody that was contemplating that to do it through the family liaison officer, the police family liaison, or to seek advice from the Missing People charity, the number you've just given, 116 000. Because of the instances of individuals perhaps not being as helpful as they possibly can, or perhaps doing it for the wrong reasons. So I would advise people just to be careful when they are making their own Facebook sites, Twitter tweets, however you talk about it. Yeah.
John, thank you so much for coming in to talk to us about it tonight, and let's hope that your efforts do help to reunite some people this Easter. Thank you very much indeed. You can see all 4 of Rob's stories about missing people from our region on our website right now. That's at itv.com/Granada. Well worth a visit. You can also find the web address for the Missing People charity.
OK, time for some sport now. Manchester City have apparently conceded the Premier League title. Here's Mike.
Yes, they did it last year as well, didn't they? We all know what happened then. But Manchester City manager Roberto Mancini has conceded defeat in the Premier League title race. His side are 15 points adrift of Manchester United with 9 games remaining. He's also promised fans that Yaya Touré will not be leaving the club, despite reports linking him with Monaco. Speaking at his weekly press conference, the Italian admitted City's reign as champions is coming to an end.
Yeah. It's over. It's over, but this don't change nothing, because we should do our best from now to the end. because every top team, also when you can't win a title, you should try to play well, you try to win all the games, and after we have also the semi-final, FA semi-final.
Blackburn Rovers caretaker boss Gary Bowyer says he has no idea how long he'll be in charge at Ewood Park. The club's reserve team coach is back in the hot seat for the second time this season after Rovers sacked Michael Appleton last week.
I think, like everybody, we were shocked and stunned at the decision. That said, the players have been professional and trained as well as they can. It's been a bit of a time from the announcement to the actual